Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brookline Booksmith's author event series, where today we are thrilled to host the virtual launch of Channing Tatum's sparkly, delightful new book, The One and Only Sparkella Makes a Plan. My name is Alex Schaffner, and I'm the events director at Brookline Booksmith. If you've come to our store before, welcome back. If you're new to us, welcome. I want to thank absolutely everybody for being a part of our community today. For those of you who already ordered a book, thank you so much for supporting the author and an independent bookstore. We'll be shipping those out ASAP. If you haven't ordered a book and you want one of your own, the link will be in the chat during the event. Finally, this event is going to include some time for audience questions at the end. So wherever you're watching this from, throw your questions out there. We'll get to as many of them as we can. Now, I am so excited to introduce today's guest author. Channing Tatum is known for his work both on screen as an actor and behind the scenes as a producer and director. In 2021, he added #1 New York Times-bestselling author to his body of work when his first children's book, The One and Only Sparkella, debuted at the top spot. His favorite role to date is being father to his daughter, Everly, who loves sparkly, rainbowy things. He currently resides in LA. The Sparkella books are full of joy, spunk, imagination, and being true to your feelings and your heart. For all these reasons, it's not a surprise that readers of all ages have fallen completely in love with them. So I can't wait to talk about this new book. Wherever you are, please, everyone give a warm welcome to Channing Tatum.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you for being here. Are you excited that the new book is finally on shelves and getting into people's hands?
Yes, I'm excited for lots and lots of reasons. About that, I mean, the first book sort of just it really just sort of happened. I didn't really plan on it, and then I sat with CAA and they were like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, I got all these ideas. And then I just sort of was telling somebody about like my experience with my daughter and being a single dad and my lit agent Kate she was just like, that's a book. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then she's like, exactly what you just said is a book. And then she really like held my hand through what that process was. So the first one, at least the story, kind of happened really easy. And it was really just them teaching me like children's book structure and that age group structure, and which was wild, by the way. And Jean has held my hand as well through just the whole process. And like the second one, because the first one was such a kind of I don't know, just a really fluid process. The second one I was really nervous for because I was like, all right, how do I not mess this up? Like, on some level. And I think I was thinking my way into it a little too much and trying to figure out like what the I guess the natural arc of like what her lessons would be. And I was just thinking too much. And eventually I had an experience with my daughter that I'm sure I'll get to in a little while. So this one was a little bit more of a start and stutter process. I was, had to kind of calm down and stop thinking so much to get there. But I'm really excited that it's done, it's out, and hopefully people will like it as much as the first one.
Well, it's fantastic. I was just reading it again today, and it has so many things in it that are so much fun. Anybody who loved the first book is going to love the second one even more, I think.
Oh,
so when you were actually starting to write this book, both of them actually, did you have sort of the idea of the experiences? How long did it take you to get to Sparkella herself?
I knew that, the main character was essentially going to be my daughter, but I knew that the experiences were going to be not verbatim and literal. It was more going to be kind of the lessons that that my little one goes through, and that I have to kind of go through tangentially with her. As a dad that really, I grew up very different from her in a very different place, and obviously I'm a boy, and she's a very, very girly girl, and I didn't know what her name was for a little while. I kind of was like, and then I think I was literally looking at my little one wearing like the most sparkly jacket I've ever. She was like a literal disco ball, and like I was just like, that's not even a jacket. It's just sequence. It's just a big, giant mirror ball. And then so I was like, spark over. I remember. I think it was. I was like Sparkella, and then it just sort of, I don't know, it just sort of came from that, and then yeah, and then so that kind of I pitched it because I didn't know if it was too cute. I didn't know if it was like too like, I don't know, you're trying to be a little too much, but Kate and Jean loved it, and so we just ran with it. And then the first book, I'll briefly, I know I talked about this last time and stuff, but it was really just off this one moment where I saw my little one. She just gravitates to anything bright. You could set 25 things in the room, and she will go to the weirdest, oddest looking, and not just very soft, like sort of purple boas or anything. She's punk rock too. Like she likes like leopard print and like spikes and like really crazy things, and like she just likes anything that's loud and just big. And I remember the very first day I saw her like question whether she should wear it to school, because she didn't. She like had this poncho that she loved that was like basically when you hold your arm out, it's a watermelon, and it's you like a giant watermelon slice, and she had it on before we went to school, and then I was like, all right, let's go, and she's just like, no, 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 I need to change, and I'm like, what? And I was like, what do you mean? We gotta go. We're gonna be late. And she started to panic. She's like, I don't know, I don't want to get made fun of, and that was the very first time I've ever saw her be like self-conscious or planning or thinking about what other people even thought about what she was wearing. And that's kind of the entire sort of impetus of the first book. The second book was very different, very, very, very different. But yeah, I even forget what your question was, other than like, did you know Sparkella first, I guess, but I
That
ran.
was a much better answer than question, so we went in a good direction. In these books, Sparkella makes a lot of decisions about herself for herself. She picks her own name and she dresses the way that makes her happy. Why is this such an important theme for you?
A magazine, and I won't say which one, because I I love this magazine. They were really great to us, and but they asked me around the launch of another company that I have, would I be willing to write uh, like an article on what women don't know about what men want, or something, or something. I was like a confusing question or something, and and I and I said yes without even kind of thinking about it, because I was in promotion for something, and I was like, okay. And then I really sat down and I was just like, oh man, I don't want to write anything like that my daughter's going to read one day, and that she shouldn't worry about what men want. She should worry about like what she wants, and like who she is. And I wouldn't want her even, not even like, even though I do think there's good information and things to learn from all things, whether they be books, magazines, or even internet. There's a lot on the internet, but I always really just wanted her to be able to look inside and to know that the answer is in there first, and she can if she really sits down and is like quiet enough, that the answer will be there. And even if it's not the right answer, it doesn't mean it's not her answer. And I so that's kind of how I really, my daughter loves to teach me things. She likes to feel like she knows it all, and she does sometimes. But I definitely have learned, it's a bit of a parent hack that I've learned specifically with her. If I don't have another child, so I don't know if it would work with another one. But I really tend to, like, I know that she listens to me, so I try not to repeat myself too much, even though I know I do. But I try to make her teach me at some point, like the thing is that I try to like sort of get us into a situation where I'm really letting her try to find what the answer is, and kind of maybe teach it to me as a way to teach herself. A little bit of Jediing, but I don't know. It's kind of just my way of teaching. I know that the the best way is just to kind of just be it, and they'll see it. But I kind of like to set the situation up, and then just kind of watch them do it. She's a clever, clever girl. Like, that's one thing I'm just sort of not worried. Like, she's so her. She's so her. Yes, she's gonna fall down a lot, and there's gonna be so many moments that are gonna be painful and scary. Um, but she gets what she wants more than anyone I've ever seen in my life, in any situation. I don't care where she is. And I'm just sort of not worried about it. She's really strong-willed in that way. Knock on wood, I hope not.
Well, something that I think is really striking when you read these books is that Sparkella isn't the only person who has fun in them. Her dad puts on his pink boa, like lets his bike get decorated, celebrates his daughter for who she is, and just generally has a good time. Do you think that's like an important part of being a parent for you as well?
For me, it was. And again, I don't want to feel I don't want to feel preachy. I don't think every parent has to like connect to their kid the way I do mine. This was just the way in. You know, when I became like a single parent, I wasn't. I was very scared. I was like, you know, she's still really young, and I didn't know if through the years I was going to be able to really understand everything that she was going through, be able to understand how to even talk to her, or you know, even braid hair, what to wear, makeup, and things like. I don't know anything about wearing makeup, even though someone did my makeup, you know, before, and like it's you know, I think it was just a scary thing. It was a scary thing, and then all I really knew how to do was just kind of go into her world, whatever world that she was in at that time, you know, and it changes. She's was really into fairies, and then she's really into witches, and then she's, you know, really into keepers of the lost city, and now and then like other all different kind of things, and it changes with the wind. When St. Patty's Day rolls around, we have the most elaborate like traps that you've ever seen in your whole life to catch a leprechaun. And each year I have to figure out how like the you know the leprechaun just barely gets away, and it's a thing. And same thing with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, and you know she'll set up like cameras and like that, you know. It's wild. So I just kind of just went into her world, and that was my way of doing it. And now I don't worry at all, because I know if I just kind of enter her world, you know, I'm there, and it doesn't mean I don't need to have all the answers or have gone through exactly what she's gone through, to relate to her.
Well, speaking of elaborate, one of the things that happens in the second book is that they do something awesome together. Sparkella and her dad, they make the most amazing cardboard castle. Um, so is that something that you have personal experience with, making an incredible cardboard fort?
Well, it's in pieces now, but bear with me. Sorry. This is what's left of our last one.
Yes, look at that.
So yes, I definitely have some experience. You know, we definitely go all out when we do our builds. We're very a creative family. We like our projects, to the dismay of like my house having glitter and spray paint and like all things everywhere all the time. I, you know, anytime someone comes over and goes, "Oh, I'll take my shoes off," I just start laughing. I'm just like, if you had any idea what was happening in this house this weekend, you wouldn't worry at all. Between dogs and like a little 8-year-old heathen, you know, I don't know. It's a hopeless place.
Well, a lot of these books is really about that, is about celebrating your imagination, but not by yourself. It's about celebrating your imagination with people you care about. I really love the idea that imagination is something that gets better when you share it with other people. Um, yeah, what inspires you to think about creativity that way?
Um, I think you can close your eyes and you can think up magical worlds. You know, and like that. I think Tom Waits, uh, one of his quotes is, he's like, "I love clutter." He's like, "Give me the most cluttery place you could possibly think. You know, just put me in clutter." He's like, "It's like a visual thesaurus," and I love that quote. And I just thought, like, you know, because he's looking around this clutter, and every single thing is a new idea. Every single thing can knock him into a different creative tree or thought, I guess. And like I think the same thing when you're creating with somebody, it's really beautiful to like, because you just 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have the same idea. And then when you can, put two together, there's just, infinite possibilities in every single decision.
It really seems like creativity, it doesn't just get better when you're together, but doing creative things together makes your relationship deeper and more joyful.
Yeah, I think to create together, you really need to listen. I think
Mhm.
that's you also need to be heard, which is it's also a very important thing. I think when you're creating with someone, um, I'm I have a creative partner in the business that I direct with, I produce with, we write together, and it's really funny. He's more of the writer, and us creating together. He's definitely comes from a different place and a different way of upbringing and whatnot, and I come at it from a very he kind of starts here and I kind of come from more here, and we sort of meet in the middle, and over the years it's sort of changed, and along we've been creating together for like 15 years now, and I think it's taught me a lot about relationships. It's taught me a lot about even how to deal with people that I am not in a relationship with when
Mhm.
just out in the world and something happens. That's a creative situation as well. You might not be creating art, but there's creative moments that you can have to get through get through life that some people might not think of when if you don't live in these sort of creative problem solving worlds that I guess artists get to live in all the time.
Mhm. Do you think that you've found film, which is really collaborative and creative, to be something that you were drawn to because that's already something that you're interested in? Or do you think that that's really shaped how much value you place on like collaborative creativity?
Yeah, I don't think I knew anything about collaborative creativity before I started acting. I just didn't have any experience other than, I mean, I played team sports, my whole life, mainly football. Played a little bit in college, and there is creativity in that, and
Hmm.
um, not it's not art per se, but you're definitely having to work together with people, and really, you know, what do they say when you play tennis with somebody that ups your game? There's times when a team just melds and we all just sort of like just work, and there's other times where we don't meld creatively or personality wise or energetically, and it's not as easy. And
Hmm.
that is, I think, truthful to the fact that I don't know. I always loved movies. I didn't really think that you could be in them. Like Goonies really happened in my head, and they just like filmed kids fighting pirate ships somehow. And like acting was just something that happened on a stage with Shakespeare. I didn't really understand um, that I could become an actor and be on a big screen. Like I got seen on the street for modeling, and I did that for 3 years, and then I started to kind of go over into commercials, and then I kind of just fell in love with acting after that.
Hmm.
I didn't really realize how much I knew about movies until I started acting, and I had seen a lot of the classics and didn't even know it. I just, Turner Classics on TV was, one of my favorite channels, and I don't even know why. Like, it's not. I mean, I think the only time I really remember my dad teaching me anything about a movie was Cool Hand Luke's, which is still one of my favorite movies. So I still appreciate him for that. But I remember, I think I was home from school sick, and he was home for some reason too, and I'm like flipping through the channels, and he's like, "Wait, go back, go back," and I'm like, "Ugh, Dad, I don't want to watch this." And he's like, "You want to know what cool is? You watch this movie." And I'm like, "It's barely in color. I don't want to watch this." And he's like, "This is terrible. Please don't make me do this." And we watched it, and I actually completely fell in love with the movie. Completely fell in love with Paul Newman's still to date my favorite actor, probably the world's as well. But I'm not special in that he's my favorite actor. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think movies. I think I'm sure there are other art forms that I'm not thinking of because I'm not maybe involved in them. Um, Almost all art on some level you can go and do by yourself like you can go paint a picture, write a poem, sculpt something, draw something. You can do it together, but you also can do it alone making music. Like you could just have a guitar, or you can sing, or you can like play the drums or whatever. That when it's all done together, you know is a beautiful thing as well. But I think movies is one of the only things that I can think of that you cannot do alone.
Hmm.
Like it's not possible. I mean, I don't care if you even have your iPhone and you're setting up the iPhone and you're running around doing stuff. If you want to make a movie for the theaters on a high level, there is no version of you doing it by yourself. Not even for fun. Like it's just impossible. And it takes an army, and it takes an army just to finish a movie, much less make a good movie. And
Hmm.
there's so many things that can go wrong. It's wild.
Well, I want to circle back slightly. I was interested in you saying that you knew more about film than you thought you did. And I want to ask you about the idea that maybe the way to become an expert in something is just to love it a lot.
Hmm. I think expert is a hard word. Like I don't know. Even I've done movies, I've acting or done worked in film for a good while now, and I was actually just talking about this with my acting coach. On every movie, I still work with an acting coach, and we go through the whole movie and like turn over every stone and like try to poke holes in all the moments and all my character
Mhm.
or directing it, like the whole story. um, I think that if you love something,
Mhm.
become really good at it, every single moment can be brand new, and it'll be so your experience level is high. It's higher
Mhm.
because you've done it before, and I think when you're not just in the throes of just trying to like figure something out because you're scared and you don't know for the very first time that that's the alive feeling. That's the beauty because you're usually so scared. You're just so scared that you're gonna fail. You're so scared that you're gonna like just fall on your face and you never get a chance to do it again. Um, with directing, I directed with my partner last year, and we both have said the same thing. It was so hard, and we were like one of three movies to get going after the first quarantine, and so we were all just figuring it out for the very first time, creating like our own protocols. It was chaos, and we're trying to like show a lot of confidence to make sure everyone on the set felt like that we knew what we were doing, like that we've been here before. And I think in hindsight, if we would have just been like, we don't know what's going to happen here, we no one's done this before, uh we're not going to have all the answers. And we sort of did say that. I mean, we weren't completely blind to this, but we wish we'd have done it with a little bit more confidence. We wish we'd have more been like, guys, the best idea in the room wins, and we're not going to have it all the time. But let's just get at it. Let's just go for it, because I think when you're really good at something, doesn't mean it's easy.
Mhm.
It means like you usually just have either done it so long that your experience points are so high, or you just have some freak talent for it, which is also possible. But I think that person that's just like a freak talent at something that really didn't have to like work at it has a completely different understanding of what the craft is. I'm sure. They wouldn't be able to teach it all that well. They wouldn't be able to even explain what they do all that well. Which I think there's an alchemy of all those things in each and every artist. Certain things that they're good at, certain things that they've had to learn and have discipline over. Um, but I do think time. There is the 10,000 hour rule, is for sure a way to become more proficient and more learned about what you're doing. Um, but I don't know. For me, being an expert is being an expert and truly being in every single moment, going, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I was like, this is crazy. That's kind of where I like to operate from.
Well, I think something that is really compelling to many people about these books and about your performances is that they really go full tilt into being exuberant and the complete version of whatever it is. It doesn't hold back. Um, and I think it's interesting that I get the same feeling of that from when you're performing and when you're writing. So I
Uh,
wonder if you think about those two kinds of creative approaches really, really differently, or if there are places where that's kind of the same for you.
that's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, I definitely there are times when uh, I feel when I get really excited and start laughing when I usually get scared. And when I'm performing or whatever, I definitely when I get scared, I have more energy inside that I need to like sort of exercise. So I probably get a little more excited or exuberant than someone that maybe goes in when they get scared. Mine goes out. Usually, I start laughing when I get really, really scared. I just start uncontrollably laughing. I'm just like, I'm so scared right now. Um, so I don't know is the answer. I definitely, maybe in the writing process, I'm attracted to those moments because I feel like they're exciting moments. But you need peaks and valleys. You need the very down moments, so the big moments can like really have something to contrast them to. So I don't know. I want more than anything in life to be like free and have fun, and that is probably where I really create from. It doesn't mean that you can't write something. I'm not going to write something dark one day, and that doesn't mean that that's not going to be free either, because it will be. Because I think there's just as much freedom in exercising those dark, shadowy parts in your brain as well. But yeah, it's a good question. Thanks.
Well, one thing that I actually really enjoy about the Sparkella books is that even though a lot of them is about this sort of freedom and creativity and joy and togetherness, there in both of them there are these moments where they grapple with other feelings like disappointment and not fitting in and being unsure. Why do you include those moments in the books?
Why do I include the uncomfortable moments?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really believe, you know, all of life is sort of like a big uncomfortable moment in a way, like, and even when you're excited on top of the world, I've had the highest highs, and there's a little uncomfortability in that because you're questioning, do I deserve this? You're looking, going, oh man, I don't want this to stop. How do I keep this like from going away? And there's all this like fear and thoughts that are not letting you like stay right in
Mhm.
that moment. That is really great. And it's the same thing when you are uncomfortable, and the uncomfortable moments is like it's really tough to get out of those uncomfortable moments, or to handle the uncomfortable moments in the best way, because you have so much fear around it and or so much want, instead of just going, okay, I'm comfortable, I'm uncomfortable right now, like, and there's really nothing I can do about that other than to just sit here and really process it, because it's a real thing. It's a real part of life. I practiced jujitsu, and one of the first like sort of lessons is how comfortable can you be in the uncomfortability,
Hmm.
and it is a bit of a martial art. That practice. It doesn't have to be jujitsu or martial arts, but it is a practice. When you're uncomfortable in life, how comfortable can you be inside of that uncomfortableness that will give you a perspective on it to be able to really, I don't know, be able to make like a good decision from there, and not panic, and it's one of the, sorry, my dog has a ball. She's just crazy.
Very comfortable dog.
Yeah, she's just like, well, I don't care what you're doing, throw the ball right now. So what was I saying? Yes, the uncomfortable moments, and I really do believe that, like, that's sort of, that's life, and like I don't want to get rid of those moments, because they make the sweet moments even sweeter.
Well, I think that's something that's really strong about these books. And I think the great thing about the moments in the books is that at the end of those moments, Sparkella's personality just comes out stronger, and the things she makes are even brighter and better.
Mhm.
Um, and she gets to share more of herself with others. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's like
Um,
a ping ponging effect, when you're just like, oh, knocked off my steez or a little bit, I was vibing, and now I'm not vibing anymore, and then you're kind of like, wait a minute, It's my vibe. I'm gonna vibe how I want to vibe, and you take your power back, and it's you turn up even harder, and I don't know. That's sort of the intention, I guess.
Well, I think we probably have a lot of questions from the audience at this point, so I would love to get to some of those.
All right.
All right, so the first question, probably not surprising. Can you talk about the Sparkella movie?
Yeah. Man. I of course, because I work in movies, people are like, can this be a movie? And I'm like, yeah. I don't know. It's a story, so yeah, I'm sure it can be a movie. Um, well, can it be a good movie? I don't know. I have no idea. like, we can go make anything if you give me some money. But I have a real affinity for. Let's just, I grew up in the '80s and '90s, and I guess the 2000s, but really when I was a kid, those '80s and '90s movies where Pixar wasn't Pixar yet.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just like come in and sort of change the game of masterful storytelling, and those they're so masterful that everybody kind of just goes, I don't know what to do now. Like, they're just it's Pixar's game, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's Disney's game, and it can still be Disney's game. I'm down for that. I just want to see some diversity. I want to see some kids movies that have kids in them that are real life kids, and like that you get to like and that are really well made. Like that,
Mm-hmm.
I find some of the stuff that's getting made on some of the streamers, it's just not as good as it can be. And maybe that's me probably judging it, and I shouldn't judge it. But I watch everything that my daughter watches, and I just want there to be better stuff. And I just want like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a snob, I guess, when it comes to this sort of thing, and
I think every parent gets to be a snob about that kind of thing at some
that's
point.
fair. That's a really fair statement. Yeah, I just the ones that I loved back in the day when like Adventures in Babysitting. No, sorry, not well, Adventures in Babysitting is one, but Honey I Shrunk the Kids, and like even earlier than that. Like I'm blanking on the two that were my favorite. Yeah, whatever. Of course, they run from my brain as soon as I need to talk about them. But where adults and kids go into a magical world and
Mm,
have to like work together to get out, and it's I don't know. It's just one of those things that I really want to try and like bring back. I want to try and because I think it's great for kids to love cartoons. Like I love them as well. Like and the stuff that's happening in the Japanimation and man, Avatar the TV series, not Avatar the movie, one of the best series ever made. The first Avatar,
yeah, no
like
doubt.
Airbender, holy wow! I mean, we must have watched it over 100 times all the way through now, and there's always going to be a place for those. I think there's always people are always going to love because you can just go to these magical worlds and sort of put yourself in them and but I also want to make sure that you're also bringing the magic to the real world as well
Mm.
and not letting it just live in the pixels of Pixar.
Yeah, I think seeing real kids is actually kind of important.
Yeah.
Um,
I know that didn't totally answer the whole, what can I tell you about the movie? I'm very, very scared about talking about the story because the story is fairly straightforward, but as sure as I'm sitting here, as soon as I start talking about some of the aspects of the story, like, the movie making process especially the development of one, it's the Wild West. Like you have an idea, and then next thing you know, it's like out the window the next day, and you're marching in a completely different direction. And I don't want to taint that process, but we have really really amazing people working on it with me, and I'm really excited about it, to say the least.
that's so great. I can't wait to see it.
Hopefully, if
Uh,
we pull it off, I would love to be in it. But who knows? Movies again are hard.
our second question is, what is your favorite part in this book?
Uh, um, when she falls, man, I'm sorry. I love the timing of that when she falls, and then I knock over my glass of water. When she falls, just because I think it's like, because I experience this all the time when, my daughter thinks that she knows something for fact, and I'm just like, okay, great, go do it. Like, and then I hope, obviously, I'm not making. She's not like, I can fly, I'm gonna jump off the house, so I'm not like doing stuff like that. But I would totally let my daughter like fall through a cardboard box, like absolutely, and she has. And it's just those things. We tried to build a birdhouse, and that was kind of like the whole impetus of this story. And I knew her plan wasn't going to work from the very beginning. I was just like, this is never gonna, it's never gonna work. And like I was just like, oh man, we're in for a long day. This was supposed to be like a real sweet project, and now I'm like, oh god, this is just gonna possibly end in a disaster. And she's over in the firewood, like picking pieces of firewood out, and I'm like, that's never gonna make a birdhouse. Like, it's just never gonna work. Like, we don't even have the right tools to knock that stuff together. And she's like, yes, we do. I was like, okay, all right. I guess you're just gonna have to figure this one out on your own. And I think that's probably. I mean, I have a lot of favorites. What's another one? I really do like, because my daughter does this. She really will come up with like just like the weirdest combinations of things. Leopard stones and all that stuff. I mean, she didn't bring up leopard stones, but there's been other things that we just name things different, and it's fun.
This is very small, but I love that the turtle appears and appears on the back of the bike. I think that's great.
Yeah, that's one of our little favorite little Easter egg things. One of my daughter's first words. It's a bit of controversy. Was it turtle or was it purple? I'd say it was turtle. She goes turtle, and it could have been purple, but we're not sure. We're not sure, but we think it was turtle. So it was her first word, so we always pop it in there.
Looks very happy on top of that bike.
Wouldn't you if you were a slow turtle on top of a bike?
Not anymore. A third question we have is, do you have more books planned in the series?
Mm-hmm. We do have one more planned, at least, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I know I'm not allowed to talk about that one either. But it's been a blessing, this whole series. It was such an I never could have planned to do this. I mean, if you would have asked any of my English teachers, they would have absolutely told you without question that I was the least likely to ever be an author, maybe ever. And that's not an understatement. I was put in like reading classes. They weren't sure if I was like had learning disability, ADD, like dyslexia, like you name it. So English or writing or anything was just not my favorite class. Like I refused to read out loud in the class when we'd go up and down the aisles. So I'd lose participation points and all that. So I could have never have imagined ever writing a book, period, or even really working in stories ever, even in movies, even though it's not exactly the same thing. And I want to do more books, but I think we can just get through this one and the third one. I think that the response to them will be the telling factor if we keep going or not.
I actually have a question about that. You said that your experiences as a dad are what made somebody say you should have a book. Do you think you ever would have written a book if you hadn't been a dad?
I doubt it. I definitely wouldn't have. Yeah, I doubt it. I really don't think I would have wrote a children's book. I just, yeah, I don't know in what. I mean, maybe if I would have pulled them from my own experiences or something, being a kid and wrote something. I do like fantasy, and I might have a bunch of ideas of just like little things that probably aren't really good for the big screen that I've thought about doing graphic novels and things like that. But A traditional novel or a book? Definitely not. Like, it's never ever going to be well, watch me say this, and then somebody's going to be like, here's an opportunity, and I'm just gonna be like, if someone else puts the fingers to the page, I can't. Again, they had to really help me with the story structure because I never would have been able to like figure it out. Um, I was like, writing like the summary and this of the story. It was just basically one long run-on sentence. Like, it's just like it had an arc to it, but there was no punctuation or anything, and everything spelled wrong. So, I love my editor. She's a G. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love stories though, so I can't say no. I can't say
Mm.
absolutely not. But I can say that I love stories so much that I would like to believe that I would have taken a shot at getting one of them down at some point.
We have another question that sort of relates to that. What's the hardest part about writing a book?
I'd say, I mean, I guess it goes into the idea of like editing and whatnot. You know, I always tend to want to put too much in. Um, I think it's more of a character thing. You know, my writing partner Reed, he's the structuralist. He really understands structure. He went to Harvard and he's an annoying human when it comes to like that stuff. And it went to school for film and everything. So he's taught me a lot about story structure and in movies and whatnot as well. I kind of just I have all this stuff that I'm just trying to like bury inside of each character, and I kind of come at it from an inside out sort of a point of view. And he's sort of at a 30,000 foot view, looking at everything, and that's why we're a good team. So I think the hardest part for me is to know what to put in and what to take out.
Mm.
Once I have like what the idea of the thing is, it's a lot of stuff that I would put in to make it silly or funny or little things for me and Evie that are just like fun and funny, but it will take away from the
Mm.
cleanness of it, and you know it's restraint, I guess, is a bit, especially with I think a novel, a kid's book, a picture book, because it's so much of it is also pictured. That
Mm.
you don't want um, a lot of words sort of getting in the way of also just like the visual taking in of it.
Well, picture books are hard. You have to like restrain yourself so much. There's so much you have to hold back because you have so little space,
Yeah,
and it's all. But you're talking about the pictures. It is a lot of pictures, and the pictures complement the book
I
so
agree.
well. And there
Yeah.
are so many details where the text and the pictures feed off each other. What's it been like to work with the illustrator?
Kim has been a dream. Like, I don't really know how to describe. She was it from the very. I mean, Jean sent me like six. I don't know, six artists. She's like, "Oh, we'll just start here, to start to get a direction." And I was like, "Okay." And I love art, so I was gonna really have fun trying to like figure out like who the perfect artist was. She was maybe the second person that I like the file that I opened up, and I was like, dang it, this is her. I was like, this is it. I was like, I don't need to see anymore. Looked through the rest of them. I knew it was her. And then I showed Abby, and I knew what she was going to pick. It wasn't even close. Like, and she picked the same one without me, no prompts. I just showed her the six or however many she sent, and she picked it as well. And so much of it has been really intuitive. I haven't really given her a lot of like, we give her the story, and then she starts to kind of like, put the world in, and like obviously Sparkella and the dad, and I'll have like little notes about like, what I want to wear. Or like in the beginning there was a little bit of I think translation of big and bright and beautiful was like it was so girly. It was like so, and I was like, yes, it's definitely girly and pink and purple and things like that. But she's punk rock as well. Like, she just likes cool, and that's kind of it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. She'll wear a bubble wrap like vest, like just like she'll make my daughter will literally make a vest out of bubble wrap, and she'll just work it in the house. Like, she'll put her own little fashion show, and then she'll do a front roll just because she wants to hear it pop 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 pop. Like, so. it was a little bit of that in the beginning of just sort of kind of honing it in, and then the rest of it is just little tiny tweaks because she really helps me even expand my sort of imagination on the world.
All right, we have a couple more and a few more minutes. So one more is, what's harder, writing a book or working on a movie?
Oof. I'll never, unless you've been on a movie. Look, a kid's book is definitely easier. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it is just easier. If I was writing a novel or something that had, yeah, I wouldn't even know what that process is. I like, again, me writing a novel would take a decade because it would just be a one long run on sentence, sort of like on the road, like just one long roll of paper. Like, it would just be stream of consciousness, sort of an idea. Um, and someone editing that would really have a lot of fun. Maybe just quit before they started. Sort of a job. Working on a movie is just, there's just so many moving parts to it. I would say it's 30% creative and about 70% solving problems. Like,
Mhm.
you're just solving problems all the time. And you do have to creative solve them, but lots of them are logistical as well. Like, they're just, A to B, one, two, I mean, you're just going, what's the most logical way to move through this? Because every single second, you can monetize what one single second means in a day on a movie set because you know exactly how much each day costs. So each minute, you're just like, oh, there went 10 grand. there went 30 grand. You're just like, oh my God. You just hear the burning of the clock and someone shoveling like money onto a fire like coal. You're just like, oh God, go, go, go.
Yeah, maybe higher pressure and maybe a worse schedule, maybe, than writing a
Horrible
picture
schedule.
book.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people work 12-hour days. It's technically more than 12-hour days because there's a lot of stuff that go into it. But on the clock, on set, first scene to like wrap, it's 12 hours. So you're probably doing 1 to 2 hours on either end of that to bookend it. And then lots of times you're doing 6-day weeks. It's an intense section of time. Depending on, most movies are 2 months to like 3.5 months. Long movies, I've done a 7-month movie before, and then you just pencils down and then you leave. Like, you don't see some of those people ever again in your whole life, and you have really intense experience with a lot of them, and then you're just like, bye, it's been great. I'm happy we're both alive, hopefully. Go back to your family that you haven't seen in three months.
All right, we have one more question, which I think you've talked about a little bit, but we'd love to hear more. How much is Everly involved in the book?
Oh, she's not involved in any of the actual writing. One, I just think it's cleaner that way. I don't want her to get inside of the idea of what she's too smart for it. Like I would be like, I don't know what that's gonna do to her head. Um, and I also like the surprise of like what the story is gonna be, and like her reading it to her for the first time. She's more involved in some of the stuff that we make around the books that are more just promotional things. We don't make really any money from like the partnerships with like the tutu companies or like the apparel or the art companies and things. Um, I really let her have a say. I'll show her like, this one or this one. Do you like the tights with the tutu or like tights with the shirt? And she'll mix and match and kind of come up, or she'll have ideas. She'll be like, can they make gloves? And like, you're just like, all right, what do you want the gloves to look like? She's like, I want the gloves to have fur on them somewhere, like like a monster hand, and then the other one should look like a lizard, and like, you're just like, okay, I'll
She's
tell her.
totally right, too.
Yeah, 100%. I gotta have balance. But I'd say that's about it. I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, look, she's very involved in giving me the material. Like, I'll never forget the birdhouse day. Was because I was so jacked up for the birdhouse. I was like, oh, we're gonna build the best birdhouse you've ever seen. And I'm not like a great builder, but I did frame houses. I know how to clap things together. And I was like, we're gonna build the sickest birdhouse ever. And you know, 3 hours in, I'm just like, oh, man, like we're never gonna get through this. Like this is gonna be a big fail, and it's nothing more cliche than like a dad building a birdhouse with his daughter. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna fail. And then you know, eventually we got there, and I'm happy that it kind of took this really long way around to get to something that we both, you know, we haven't hung the birdhouse, so we don't know if the
Is
birds.
there a bird in it?
It's a piece of art at the moment. It's a piece of lawn art, and it's gorgeous. I can tell you, it's the most glitter-tastic birdhouse that you've ever seen. Do I know that birds are going to want to spend their life in it? I'm not sure. I'm really, really not sure. But we're eventually we're gonna hang it and see.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us and for sharing this wonderful new book. Thank you for both of these books.
Thank you.
It's been lovely.
By the way, appreciate it. You've been great.
And thank you also to everybody in the audience for celebrating the launch with us.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are here, but thank you guys for showing up as well.
It has been great. And once again, if you haven't yet gotten a copy of what is a truly delightful book, there is a link down below, and it should be shared in the chat. And we hope that we see you all soon.